Hey everyone, it's Matt, aka Tech Ranger, and today we're going to be taking a look at some mods for Starfield, and I wanted to take a look at some mods that'll make your game feel good, look good, and sound a little bit more immersive as well. If you enjoy the video, leave a like down below and comment down below if you have any questions. But with that, let's take a look at some more mods for Starfield on the Xbox and some on the PlayStation 5. So to start this video off, let's take a look at a weather mod. This one is also available on the PlayStation 5 alongside the Xbox and PC. And this mod adds dozens of new weathers and then changes some of the existing ones in game, but it won't change anything that isn't already there. So for example, on Earth, that is unchanged, and that's a little bit different than the last weather mod I looked at here on the channel, which was Royal Weathers, which actually does change some of the weathers on Earth. Planets with no atmosphere is also another exception, but more variety across all of the planets, so that includes both vanilla weather and the newer ones that were added here. There is a little bit of a performance cost with this one. Just with general weathers, you're probably not going to notice anything. You'd probably only see that with like heavy rain or sandstorms, stuff like that. If you're a little worried about that, I would always recommend Royal Weathers Lite if you want to check that out. That does some of the same things that this mod does, but then some of the features are pulled back from like the PC version on that one. And Royal Weathers isn't actually available on the PlayStation 5, at least at the recording of this video. With a mod like this, I'm just excited to see like what weathers pop up in which places and how it makes the game look. With that said, all the footage you're seeing, I do have the color filter removal mod on, so that way you can see the weathers kind of as they are. Now to keep with the weather theme, let's talk about audio, and we have atmospheric audio, so straight out of the box, so to speak. When you install this one, you'll get a lot of options, including a space vacuum effect. This, along with hearing that muffled audio also in space, well, it might not be everybody's cup of tea. But if you're looking for a little bit more immersion, then this mod will do it. And then when you're running around, you're also going to hear yourself breathing heavily. And when you're in a cave or a mine, there's a little bit more of like an airless effect, so you actually feel like you're in that place. And you can also notice a little bit of a reverb, like if you're on your ship.
Hi, Skipper. What do you need?
And if you don't love everything in this mod, it is configurable. So you can go to your audio settings and actually adjust the values, how intense it is, but then also just straight up turn any of them off. I think that part of it really makes this mod like, you gotta try it, especially if you've been playing the game for a while. Really interested to hear what you all think about this one in the comments. Next up, this would kind of qualify as a quality of life mod. This is the aptly named 60 FPS Smooth UI. Now, as we all know, Starfield actually launched on Xbox at 30 FPS, kind of rough, but now we can target 60 frames per second or run the game uncapped if we have a higher refresh rate display. But even if the gameplay is smoother, the menus aren't going to be, and they might even kind of appear laggy. So that's where this mod comes in. If you have any user interface mods, I would just put this before any of those. I haven't really noticed any issues with this one yet, or could pinpoint it to this mod, but everything with a menu in this game is just way smoother. Conversations, inventory, and space combat. Whenever you were moving around in space, it always felt like there was a little bit of a stutter, but I think that may have just been the user interface around your ship. Obviously, if there's a lot going on screen, then you're always going to run into some performance issues, but so far this mod has been pretty great, and the game ends up feeling a lot smoother because of it. Third person in Starfield is actually a pretty cool way to play, although with the way the game controls, at least on console, it can be a little awkward at times because the game isn't really a third person shooter, and there's a little bit of a disconnect between what you're seeing in first person and third person. And while you can adjust the FOV for both, to get those values kind of close together is a little bit difficult just because of the way the camera works in the game. With third person fixed FOV, you just have one FOV for aim down sights, and this changes slightly, like if you're crouched as opposed to standing. This makes it a little bit more fun to be in third person most of the time if you like that angle. And in some cases it might be even less jarring if you're going from third person to first person a lot. I'll most likely be using this until there's any type of camera mod that comes out on Starfield for console, because I looked at a lot of those on Fallout 4 and honestly I'm not sure if I could play third person in that game without it. And last but not least, let's take a look at a couple user interface mods, first of which is PraxisUI. I've looked at this before on the channel, so I'm not going to go like in granular detail about it, but I did want to go over some of the newer additions. This mod actually got spun out into a different one because there's a new mod author that's actually updating this one. In the menus for Praxis, you probably know that there's a lot of different columns and it kind of stretches across like half the screen, so whenever you're in your inventory, it's hard to see the item without actually inspecting it. But on console now, you can hit right on the D-pad and it will collapse the columns. That might actually be my favorite change. And then also, because of free lanes introducing like exotic traits, just like you would with any other rarity in the game, you'll be able to see that in your inventory clearly with this kind of pink color. There's also a few more categories in your inventory. There's a whole separate category for essentials, so that's stuff like your Digipicks and Astra, and the familiar additions are there as well as collectibles. There were a lot of updates to this one in a short amount of time, so make sure you have the correct version. And last but not least, we have the Davefield loot container UI. You'll probably be familiar with the way this looks if you're familiar with StarUI HUD. This mod is like StarUI HUD, but just one part of it, so just the loot container, hence the name of the mod. And this mod incorporates some different icons for some of the items, like you might expect from StarUI. You'll see some color coding going on, as well as an easy way to see if there's an item that has multiple traits on it. And kind of one of my new favorite things is the fact that when you're looking at certain health items, you might actually see a little icon there to show you what it actually heals or affects. If you aren't a huge fan of the icons for this one, you can actually change it in your settings to another. Change this to Astral UI, and that's going to give you the icon set for Astral UI, which is currently on PC as a mod, which may eventually make its way to console. The icons are bolder and there's a little bit more color here, so that might be more your style if you're coming from something like StarUI HUD. You'll still see a colored bar on anything that has a different rarity. This is a good option if you aren't thrilled with everything that StarUI HUD would add. There is also support for 60 FPS in this mod. That's the option right below where you can change the icons. So if you're playing with that 60 FPS menu mod, this would be a good thing to change. Although I haven't really noticed much of a difference just because there's only so much that can be in one of these loot containers, but I guess if there's a lot of stuff in there, it might be a little bit smoother. Curious to know what you think about these two. Now obviously you can't use both at the same time because they do conflict with each other. I tend to like a lot of the things that StarUI does, like actually having the item cards pop up when you hover over something and then seeing an icon, but I really do like how the Davefield loot container is shaping up. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This one's a bit longer than usual, but I thought everything kind of flowed together and wanted to put it all in one video, so I appreciate you sticking around. Let me know if you've been checking out some new mods or just kind of waiting on updates for some in the comments down below, and with that, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.